Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us as we begin Week 10 of 2022 Eastern Athletic Conference Weekly Football Press Conference. I am Karen Carty, the Assistant Commissioner of Strategic Communications here at the MEAC, and I will serve as the moderator for today's meeting. Before we hear from our coaches, we'll hear from Jeff Cunningham, the MEAC's Director of Strategic Communications, with some MEAC updates. Jeff?
Thank you and good morning. Morgan State recorded the upset of the season to this point this past Saturday, scoring 24 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to defeat defending MEAC champion South Carolina State 41-14 at Hughes Stadium. The Bears defense caused 6 turnovers on the afternoon, 3 interceptions, and 3 fumble recoveries, while running back Alfonso Graham rushed for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns. Quentin Williams accounted for 4 touchdowns, while Eden James rushed for 114 yards and a score, as Howard defeated Norfolk State 49-21 at Dick Price Stadium on Saturday. The Bison are now 2-0 in MEAC play and sit alone in first place, the only team still undefeated in league play. Davius Richard found E.J. Hicks with less than a minute remaining, and then the Eagles forced a goal line stop in the closing seconds as North Carolina Central spoiled Delaware State's homecoming 28-21 at Alumni Stadium to keep the Eagles in the hunt for the MEAC championship. The 2022 MEAC Cross Country Championships were this past Saturday at the Delaware State Outreach and Research Center in Smyrna, Delaware. Norfolk State won its 3rd straight men's team title and 15th overall, sweeping the top 3 individual places and putting 5 runners in the top 10. The Spartans' Gideon Sige, the MEAC's fastest 8K runner this season, won gold with a time of 24 minutes, 38.8 seconds. On the women's side, Howard University won its first cross-country title since 2005 and their 8th overall, tallying just 32 points as 5 Bison runners finished in the top 10, paced by Melanie White's 3rd place effort. Norfolk State's Mercilyn Kamayo was the individual champion after completing the 5K course in a MEAC season best time of 18 minutes, 2.3 seconds. Coppin State sits alone atop the MEAC volleyball standings with 2 weekends remaining in the regular season, following a 3-0 win over Howard this past Sunday. Coppin State has lost just 1 MEAC match so far this season, and the Eagles are 1 win shy of the program's first ever 20-win season. Howard, Delaware State, and Norfolk State round out the top 4 teams in the standings. Just 2 weeks remaining in the regular season, and the 2022 MEAC Volleyball Championships will be held at Dover, Delaware, on Delaware State's campus, November 18th through 20th. For more information on the MEAC and its 14 sponsored sports, as well as to learn how to join the MEAC Nation Association, please visit our official website at www.meacsports.com. You can also follow the MEAC on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at MEAC Sports, and subscribe to the MEAC Digital Network on YouTube.
Thank you, Jeff. I'd like to remind everyone that to ask a question, please use the rating feature in Zoom, in which please name and the media presenting. All right, let's get started with our coaches. First up, we have Howard head coach Larry Scott. Good morning,
Good morning.
Scott.
How's everybody doing?
Doing well. All right, coach, give us an opening statement about Saturday's game against Norfolk State.
Happy with the way our guys played this weekend. We went down to, going down to Norfolk first time. I think in a very long time, I heard some number like 19 games that we actually went on the road and won a in conference game at somebody else's place. So happy with our guys' mentality, their approach, the way they went down there. We actually didn't get off to a really good start. They went out and scored in the first 2 possessions. I mean, we didn't finish and capitalize on what could have been a 99-yard drive with the kind of drive kind of folding late on us after 13 plays. And then came back on the second possession and turned the ball over through an interception. So, but happy with the way they responded and bounced back after that to play a pretty complete game for us. We still got some things we got to definitely fix and shore up as we continue down this path. But like where we are, and I like the guys' mindset and mentality and approach towards, changing and fixing the things we need to get ready ahead of us. So looking forward to another big.
As you mentioned, big week coming up. You travel down North Carolina Central. What can we expect from the Bison this week?
Well, I'll tell you what, we better be ready to play our best football. Now, this is a really, really good football team we're going to play. Coach Oliver and his staff has done a tremendous job with the team and with these guys. You turn the tape on, and there's no mystery why they are where they sit. Statistically, basically ranked number one just about in every category, offensively and defensively. They play hard, they play passion, they play football the right way. So we better bring our aim as we go down here. It's going to be their homecoming. There's going to be a lot of excitement, I'm sure, down there. A lot of patchy and good college football and all those type of things awaiting the Bison. But we're going to do our best we can to put together the very best plan we can and get our guys ready to go down here for a big-time football game. But that's what you want to be in this time of year.
Awesome, Coach. Thank you. Those are my questions for you. We'll now turn it over to the media, beginning with Nate Henry Jr.
Good morning, Coach. Nathaniel Henry, Howard University Sports Information Media Group. Congratulations on the win Saturday. Coach, talk about three specific areas and how they have factored in the team's recent success. One being time of possession, almost 38 minutes against Norfolk State and 33 minutes against Delaware State.
Well, time of possession, is one of those things where you get into a game and you kind of play to what the tempo of the game is kind of being, how it's coming and how we're executing and those type of things. But when you're able to play the amount of plays on offense that we've been able to play, it's because of being really, really good in situational football, being good on first down and then converting on third down. I think we were 12 or 15 this week, almost 80% on third down. And that's how you keep the ball and keep other teams' offenses off the field is being masters of the situation and being really good on third down. And when you get in the red zone, being able to establish how you and dictate how you want to play in the red zone. And being able to stay on the field and finish with touchdowns. So when you can go 5 of 5, all touchdowns in the red zone and be 12 or 15 and 80% on third down, that is the formula right there to win in the time of possession. And they can't score if their offense is standing on the sideline with the coaches. So at the end of the day, that's the object.
Yes, sir. You just answered my second question. The defense. 2 of 11 on Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, that again, complementary football, right? All those things work together. And that's what we've been trying to get our young football team to really understand is it's not just the offense, it's not just the defense, it's just not special teams. When we're all in chemistry and we're all in sync, it's complementary of each other and what one group needs to do to support the other and have the other's back. So, field position. How do we, change and what decisions and choices are being made to affect the game through a field position wise? What's their average starting point? What's our average starting point? And how does that affect the play calling and what happens during the course of the game that can directly impact the game? So making sure that our guys are truly understanding that and the situational aspects, which, teams that understand that down the stretch and execute the best in situations like that are going to be the teams that have the most success. But to be 2 of 11, our defense is something that we can hang our hat on here and be prideful of, is being a top 10 team in the country on third down. We're getting off the field on third down situations. So as long as we can continue to do that and continue to stay on the field offensively on third down, we're going to continue to give ourselves a chance here down the stretch.
Yes, sir. My next question. In the preseason, you talked about 2 areas that you felt you had to improve in if you're going to be successful. One being depth and special teams play, specifically the kicking game. How do you feel those areas have showed up thus far?
Well, I think we still got to kick the ball better, not necessarily our cover deals and what we're doing from a cover standpoint and protection standpoint. A little disappointed we let one out late in the game. That's mindset, that's mentality, that's finish. That was the most disappointing part of that. But it also started with a poor kick. And our kickers and everybody have to realize that everybody's a part of this now. We all have a role. We all play a role, and make sure you're executing and doing your job. So, it starts with the kickers and those type of things. So we still can get better there and be more consistent with our hang time and directionals and all of those type of things that we're continuing to attack. That's going to be the difference for us down the stretch. But I think when we do it right and we get a good kick, I mean, you've seen we've been really good in coverage. We've been T20s and pinning people deep and flipping field position and doing those type of things, which is what we're going to have to do, man, to play championship type football down the stretch. So I like where we're at, but we need to become more consistent in that area.
Yes, sir. My last question. Evaluate North Carolina Central and what challenges it poses for you.
Oh, man, it's kind of all over the field. They're really skilled in their skill areas on the back end, DBs, the wide receivers, and the supporting cast that surround the biggest pieces, and that's their quarterback. It goes and everything goes and runs through him, whether he's using his legs or using his arm. He's a tremendous player, really, really good football player that we're going to have to contain and be able to make sure we address and have addressed in all situations. But then they got an array of other skills and guys that when they got their hands on the ball can really change the game from their running backs and, like I said, receivers. And then they play as hard and as fast as anybody we've seen on defense. They fly around, make plays. They play to their system very well. And you can tell that's kind of a Coach Oliver inspired team. That I wouldn't expect anything less than. And I know we're going to get their very best effort here this weekend at home for homecoming.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you and good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
James Hill.
Morning, Coach Scott. Congratulations on all of your success. It's James Hill with the MEAC Countdown to Kickoff. Can you talk a little bit about the success? You guys are winning games and you're doing it the old-fashioned way, just going out and working hard.
I think we're going to always play to our identity, and nothing's going to ever make us swing from that, even through all the hard times, the bad times. Like I said, to this football team, we've been pruned, and the way we deal with everything is process oriented. A lot of people don't like to hear that term because process takes time. But when you have things refined and processed to the point where you want it, it's usually built the right way, and it's built to sustain success. So that's the model we live by. And at the end of the day, it's smarter, tougher, more disciplined together for us. We're going to always do it through our identity and then kind of dictate, through our terms, kind of that way. And if it's good enough, it's good enough. And that's what we've been going through each and every week, going through some of the heartache that comes along with that, some of the hard times and that comes along with that, some of the lessons that needs to be learned in order to correct things to become successful. But we're doing it the right way. And you need to feel all those things and then be accountable to what you need to be accountable to get better, whether that's how you're living off the field, your approach and mentality towards your preparation during the week, and just driving home, hey, this is how we win here. And this is how we're going to win and going to win for a very long time here because we're going to do it this way. And a day like today's Monday, and we're being so process oriented, there's no worry about what happens Saturday. Saturday is going to come. What do you got to do to win today? And that's taking care of your bodies, taking care of your academics, and those type of things, taking a deep breath, being a student athlete for a day. This is your off day, but, give a little something to the game and give a little something to yourself. And that's how we win because it's balance and everything. So again, just staying process oriented and teaching these guys the process of what it goes through to be a winner.
Coach Scott, league play is always important. And when you look at the MEAC this year, talk about the parity each week. It's an emotional roller coaster. And it's all about earning W's. Talk a little bit about the season so far and league play in the MEAC.
I mean, how else do you want it? I mean, at the end of the day, that's how you should want it. You should know that each and every week is going to be a dogfight. Everybody's going to give you their best shot. So we've come from it it's a playoff mentality. You got a 5-game playoff, and nothing matters more than just the day that you're faced with. We want to attack what's next right in front of us, and we want to attack this day by day, practice by practice, rep by rep, and then we'll take it, game by game. And you better be able to bring and put your team in the best position to bring their very best each and every week. And how do you do that? Everybody goes about that a little bit differently. We have our way of doing it, and we don't deviate much from it. We just do what we do better. Because in the end, guys don't rise to the occasion. You don't just rise when the lights turn on. You fall back on how you built. you fall back on your training. And we know here every day, every little detail is emphasized to do things the right way. And hopefully, when we get to those points, what we do and the talent we have and our approach and mentality will be good enough when it comes time to win those games. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to pack all of that up and get on the bus and go down to Raleigh and hope and know that that's good enough.
Coach, you just talked about it. Saturday is a golden opportunity to go into the Eagles' nest. Talk about going in there. Trey's building a program. They have a quality quarterback. They can throw it around. They can run it. Mookie is moving the chains. What are you seeing when you look at Central?
I mean, exactly that. Exactly everything that you just said. I see a confident football team. I see a confident that plays to the system and believes in what it does too very well. I see a team that plays to the personality of the head coach, which is fly around, a lot of energy, and you got a lot of things I have to defend and worry about. You better defend every blade of grass on the field, as far as from the perimeter to inside the box with their run game and what they can do on the perimeter with their skill and the quarterback and his legs and his arm. And then, on defense, they're very sound in what they do, and they fly around, man, and play hard. So now you see that translating to the kicking game as well. So this is a really, really good football team, and there's no mystery as to why they sit atop, statistically in a lot of the statistics within the conference and in the country, for a matter of fact. So I know what we're getting into. This is a really good football team, and it's going to be a heck of an environment to walk into and challenging environment for us to walk into and play. But we're going to have to be very tunnel vision, focused, and detail-oriented, and go in and play our game.
Thank you, sir. Have a blessed week, and good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta with Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBC Sports Lab. Coach Scott, how you doing this morning?
Good, doing great, Doc. How you doing?
Doing well. You rushed for 274 yards, obviously, on 48 carries, so you're able to get the ground game going. But Eden James put up 114 on 10 carries, over 11 yards a carry, and got in the end zone with the longest 66. Talk about his style as a running back and a young guy, but what is allowing him to get better as the season continues to go along?
Oh, I think he's a patient runner. He's patient, but he's got great balance, great vision. Knows when to level off, great speed, ball speed. It's natural. He does a lot of things really natural as a runner. And when you watch him play, he's a very good switch up to what we have with some of our other guys, a different kind of a rhythm, a different pattern of how he attacks things and sees it. So you want to get into some of the schemes that fit and match him and his style really well. And then I think that's what's, that's been good for us, is to be able to have that switch up delivery of style of back, at different times during the game that dictates that. That makes him really special. And, he's got really good ball skills too out of the backfield. He's a really smart, heady football player, but just has natural, balance and vision that allows him to see a lot of things that, most guys don't. So he's a special talent.
That's the question I have for you, Coach, in terms of this next matchup, as you continue to talk about with a lot of the questions that came about how talented they are. Take me in terms of how you game plan, other than one day at a time in the practice, everybody winning their matchup. But from your defense perspective, in terms of looking what they do on offense, is this a type of game where you focus on the individual player because they're so talented? Or do you look at schemes, or is this where you go in and you look a little bit about both?
Well, what you hope you do is you got to be really good at what you do. Okay, first of all, you can't get caught up in somebody else's game. What do we do really, really well? And go execute at it, because it's about execution, and execute at a high level. And that's what you got to do. You got to do the base. First of all, you got to do the base things very well. You got to run to the football, you got to fit gaps, and you got to tackle. And at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. And I don't care what scheme you're in and what you're doing. If you're not tackling well, right, and you're missing gaps, and you're not running to the ball and swarming and doing those type of things, you're not going to give yourself a chance anyway. So we better go do that, and do that very well at an elite level. It's just execute our calls, run to the ball, swarm the ball, try to take the ball away, fit our gaps, and tackle very well. We've done that. I mean, last week we only missed 3 tackles. We were a team that was missing 15, 12 tackles a game, and we got that number down to 3 last week. And that's something that we've been really, really working hard at. So yeah, at the end of the day, we're not going to get caught up in the schemes and trying to trick people and do it. No, we're going to do what we do, and we're going to do it at a high level, and we're going to do it fast, and we're going to do it physical. And at the end of the day, that's what we're going to live and die by.
Appreciate that, Coach. Good luck this weekend. Look forward to the matchup.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach. Good morning to you. Ty Miller with the Power News Radio Network and Black College Football Weekly. How you doing this morning?
Ty, I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm fine. I just have a non-football related question, and it deals with something you mentioned just a couple of seconds ago about what you do on Mondays with your players. And it's in regards to the midterm elections coming up. Are there or have there been discussions with your players? Are they active in voting, and will they do so as a team next Tuesday when the elections take place?
Naturally, we're in Washington, D.C., and we're on we're on the campus of Howard University. So naturally, there's a political inclination, right, to make sure you're politically charged, doing things kind of, that right way, and consciousness and those and awareness of all those type of things. And that's what you love about being here, man. Just the balance that comes with everything that we talk about in developing winners, both on and off the field. So that's what's great, man. That's the great part about it. And why shouldn't we be elite at everything that we do? So it's something that definitely is being discussed and talked about, and it's something that we'll deal with, ourselves too, as a team and as a program. The importance of that, the significance of that, and the impact that has, on life itself, to not be ignored. Balance comes with everything. If you keep balancing everything, and you win, and that's what you do. You produce people that are winners, and that's what we want to do here. So absolutely, that'll be something that we deal with and talk about a little bit too.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate those comments.
All right, Coach Scott, thank you for your time today, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys. See you next week.
See you next week. The Bison travel to Durham, North Carolina to take on North Carolina Central at 2 p.m. on Saturday. The game can be seen live on ESPN3 and will re-air Sunday morning at 8 a.m. on ESPNU. Up next, we have North Carolina Central head coach Trey Oliver. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm well, Karen. How are you doing this morning?
Doing good. All right, Coach, give me an opening statement about Saturday's game at Delaware State, please.
Yes, ma'am. We traveled to Delaware State and played those guys for homecoming, and it was an unbelievable environment. Sure, it was a sellout. The campus was packed. It was an exciting event. It started for me, back in '99. I had an opportunity. That was my first coaching job. So I saw a whole lot of former players that I coached there, at least probably about 30 or 40 of them. And it was really good to see those guys, where they are, today in life. So that was really good, getting to see why you do this. But tough game. Coach Milstead had those guys, and his staff had those guys prepared. And they're a very physical football team. And it took us, we talked about playing for 60 minutes, and we needed all 60 to try to get that win. But I thought that we played well in spurts. Again, that had a couple of costly turnovers that really hurt us. But I thought we played well in our kicking game. I kind of think that kind of helped us to victory. Defensively, we gave up 2 explosive plays and trick plays, a flea flicker and a reverse. And we knew they had some gadget plays, but I was really disappointed we gave those 2 up. But it's good to come out there with the win. That's a tough ball club, and it was a physical football game. It was.
All right, Coach, and we just heard from Coach Scott, but what can we expect from the Eagles this Saturday against the Bison?
Well, it's gonna be a sellout here, and it's gonna be a game. It's another very, very good football team. We talk about the parity in the conference, and there's not much that separates us. Really, I think it's just a couple of mistakes here and there. But I thought we had seen some good offensive lines the last couple of weeks, but this is probably the best offensive line that we've seen this year. These guys are big, they're physical and athletic. The big, I think, Amin, number 77 kid, he's probably going to be a draft pick. He's the best lineman I've seen this year. But they're very talented. It starts with their quarterback, and then they have 3 good running backs. So we're going to have our hands full once again this week, but that's MEAC football.
There you go, Coach. Thank you. Those are the questions I have for you. Our first question from the media will come from James Hill.
Uh-oh, here we go. Let's go, James.
Okay, I think we're ready. It's James Hill with the MEAC countdown to kickoff. Talk a little bit about your football team, very successful. And this time of year, it's all about league play and trying to win games to get to Atlanta, basically to win the MEAC crown. But just talk about taking it one game at a time.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do. And you can't look too far ahead. And, that's what we talk about here is just take one game at a time. And, the team meeting yesterday, I was preaching to the guys again about, although it's this late in the season, we can still get better. You can still improve and don't just get caught up in going to practice and, just surviving practice. So let's work to improve on the mistakes. And we've got to get better this week. I say it every week, but I truly mean it. This is a very good football team coming in here. And, we don't talk about the Celebration Bowl and all that stuff. We know we just have to win this football game. And Coach Scott and his staff have done an outstanding job. And we've got to come to play this week.
Coach, calling all Eagles, you said it will be a packed house. You talk about Howard coming in. It's got all the things, all the elements to make for a great game. Just talk a little bit about doing what you guys have to do to be successful on Saturday.
Well, like you said, first, I'm calling all Eagles. We got to get to the stadium early. The tailgating is going to be out there. We can tailgate all night long, but I need the Eagles in the stadium early. And we need to go in and pack the nest and show them some of that good old Durham love down here. But I much rather play in somebody else's homecoming because it's so many distractions, so much stuff going on, and you hope some of those other teams get distracted. So that's going to be a big task for our guys to stay locked in this week with all the events around campus and all the folks coming back. But I'm excited about it, and I know our fans are excited as well, and it should be a great turnout.
Coach, in closing, just talk about the logjam and the parity and how competitive these teams are, and people still have an opportunity, and it's very crucial every Saturday.
It is, and we talk about parity, and we talk about how good these teams are, and I think sometimes you all just think that as coaches talk when we come up here and praise another team. But I mean, I really mean it. Like I said, there's very little difference between the top team and the bottom team. You look at, South Carolina State and Morgan State. It's parity. And these guys, this is a physical league. And I don't know, people don't give us enough credit, but this is a very physical football league. And, guys getting knocked out the ball, getting knocked out, and, guys getting injured. So we just have to, again, work to get better this week. And just stay in the now and don't worry about the standings and all that other stuff. Because I do know this, if you lose a game, you're out of it. So we have to stay locked in and work to figure out a way to get a game plan and to execute this weekend.
Thank you, sir. Have a great week and good luck Saturday.
Hey, James, thank you, man. You did an outstanding job, man.
We tried.
He said he was coming for you with his good internet this week, Coach. So here he is with the good internet.
Shout out to his cable provider.
All right, Dr. Cavill.
Just as Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab, I want no problem, Coach, in terms of internet, any of that. I'm good.
You're good, Doc. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing well. I'm in the midst of some great HBCU football, particularly from the MEAC, outstanding games. This week, your team, as you continue to talk about working through it, they finished in terms of getting the job done. But one thing that I looked at is Richard's ability to throw to several different receivers that are really getting things done in terms of moving the chains. Talk about the collective group of your receivers in terms of what they uniquely bring to the table and how they're open with each other, of not necessarily having one guy that stands above the rest.
Right. And we have a lot of great receivers in that room. And I mean, we have several of them that can make plays, and all those guys do their job. They don't get lazy with their routes. They understand, if I'm supposed to stretch the field and clear somebody else out, they do their job. They understand they're a second or third read to run their route hard, and they might pop. And those guys are bought in, and Coach Ben, our receiver coach, and Coach Leone, OC, have done a really good job explaining those guys, knowing your role, and when the ball comes to you, make plays. This week, was EJ Hicks' day. And, before it's been Devin Smith, Andrew Smith, There's been several receivers that have stood up and made huge plays, but EJ's been a gamer. He's a senior for us, works his butt off. And, he's a guy that can make things happen when he gets the balls in his hands. Caught a little quick out route. We knew all week that we had a good matchup, I thought, in the slots when they played man. And, he made a guy miss. And then, unsung hero, Quentin McCall was blocking down the sidelines, but really sprung him and popped the touchdown. So that was a huge play late in the game.
Yes.
But, when your number's called, you got to step up and make plays. And that's what those guys have done in that room. And they've really helped Pee Wee out.
You talking about making plays, exactly what you'll have to do this next weekend at home for homecoming in a packed house as you are requesting your fans to get out there and pack the nest. Talk about the framework of your next matchup of doing what you do and doing it really well. Can you give us a little more insight in terms of why that functionally is so important for teams to be able to go through the week and each player on that team works at their craft about getting ready for the ball game?
Right. I challenged the guys yesterday. Today was our day off. Nothing is mandatory. Just whatever you want to do is voluntary. But it was good to see guys in and out of the building today, trying to get some extra film work in. It's going to start defensively, stopping the run. And we preach on that. We harp on that. But they have a three-headed monster back there. The O-line is very good, very athletic. We've seen some really big offensive lines, but this is a big offensive line that can move. And then they had that three-headed monster back there. The James kid, Eden James, he looks like, you can tell who his daddy is. I can tell you that, the way he toasts the rock. So it's him, and then they have two other guys. So, they have people kind of like us, like look in the mirror. They got people at every position that can hurt you. Quentin Williams, the quarterback, makes really good decisions with the ball, can beat you with his legs as well as his arm, makes good decisions. And they have an outstanding receiver corps. And it's not like they just have one guy that you have to take away. So we have to be disciplined with our fits, disciplined with our eyes. And then offensively, we've got to figure out a way to get back on track like we were the first half of the season when we had some, 40 and 50-point games. I don't know. They have a very good defense. I don't know if we can do it this week. But we've got to be able to score some points. And I hope we get it back on track. We moved the ball all year, but the last, 2 games, we had some issues with turnovers. So hopefully we can get those issues with turnovers cleaned up, and we need to explode this week. Really do.
Look forward to the matchup. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Doc. Good seeing you.
Always.
Mr. Foreman.
Morning, Coach. Skip Foreman, HBCU Game Day. Hope you're doing well.
I'm well, Skip. How are you doing this morning?
Doing fine, thanks. You face a big offensive line in Campbell. You're saying you're facing a big offensive line in Howard, and the difference being they can move. Can you draw anything from the Campbell experience and put it into the experience against Howard that will help you counterbalance the big line you're having to go against on defense?
Sure can. You better. It's about pad level. We better keep our pads down to the line of scrimmage, or they're gonna knock us off the ball. Bottom line. And schematically, a lot of teams will either be a zone scheme where they're just blocking a gap, an area, and some teams are a gap scheme where you start to get pullers and things of that nature. So they start running power and counter and things like that. These guys are so athletic and so good. They do run both zone scheme as well as gap scheme. So Coach Core, the defensive staff are going to do a really good job of coming up with a game plan to be able to stop both schemes. But up front, we're going to have to have violent hands. We're going to have to play with low pad level, and we're going to have to play with a max amount of energy and effort because these guys are good and they come off that rock and they knocking folks off the ball. So we've got to be able to maintain our gaps and match their physicality.
And on the offense, on your offensive side, you're still seeking, as you mentioned every week, to strike that balance between run and pass. How did that work last week, and are there any variations in the scheme going into this week?
Yeah, we had a couple guys out last week, and a couple guys banged up. So we kind of had to do what gave us the best opportunity to be successful with the personnel that was out there. But you know, our whether we run the ball or pass the ball, it's all about predicated on what their defense is giving us. Delaware State had a very strong, I thought, defensive line and a good linebacking core. So we knew we were gonna have a tough time running the football on them. And schematically, they ran a 3-down front and some things they did to take gaps away. So we were planning to come in and try to make some plays on the perimeter and with our passing game. But, you know, we're going to have to just, like, you know, execute. And like Coach Scott said, we're not going to come in here, reinvent the wheel and run a lot of gadgets and stuff that they haven't seen before. They're going to know what plays we're running. And, you know, we know what they're going to do defensively. We got a good feel. So it's all about execution.
And finally, you mentioned the players who are banged up. Who are they and what's their status, if you can say?
Zai Simpson did not travel last week. He was banged up. He will be back. Tawan Flip was out last week. He will not be back this week. And then we had a couple of defensive players that were down. But I think Jesse Malik will be back this week.
All right, Coach. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
The art HBCU Sports.
Coach, how are you? Dwayne Nash from Yard HBCU Sports.
Good morning, Dwayne. How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
All is well.
All right. You kind of touched on it a little bit. Well, you kind of touched on the point I was going to make a little bit earlier about Howard's defense that you're going to face this upcoming weekend. This past weekend, you faced the best defense in the conference. This week, you'll be facing the defense that have allowed the least points so far in the season within the conference. Can you talk about some of the things that concern you about this Bison defense as they come down to Durham?
Well, it's kind of like style of play. I think Delaware State does a really good job last week in going in with limiting your possessions. The average game is usually 12 possessions and roughly about 72, 75 plays. Last week with the style of play, with them slowing the ball down and being more of a huddle team, we only had 10 possessions. So you have to be very efficient when people start taking your possessions away from you like that. Howard's another team that does a really good job of possessing the football. So, you know, when they haven't winning the time of possession, the time possession war, when your offense on the field, you must be effective. You can't go out there and punt 4 times and have 3 turnovers. You know, that's 7 possessions. You only have 3 left. So that's going to be huge. When we have the football on offense, we must score. We must score. And defensively, we had to force some takeaways as well as some quicker possessions, like 3 and outs and things of that nature. So we just can't let them possess the ball the whole game. If that answers your question.
Okay, it does. And one more question. One of the things that I've kind of noticed as the season progressed in terms of, and I guess you talked about it in extending your drives, that's something that your offense has kind of declined on that as the year has went on. What do you think? What is your opinion in terms of why that's been the case? And what do you need to do to improve that?
We're playing good defenses. Delaware State's as advertised. They're a very good defensive football unit. Week before, you have South Carolina State. Very good, you know, defense. So, you know, we're trying, but, you know, you got stuff drawn up. But at the same time, they have guys over there in their meeting rooms and they're trying to, you know, stop what you're doing. But, you know, we're still, I think, leading the conference in scoring. But we weren't as sharp and crisp as we were early in the year. And I attribute that to, you know, obviously the teams that we're playing defensively. But we have another one this week coming up. And their defensive line is really good. They have 2 D linemen that really stand out, the number 3 kid and number 10. I'm sorry, I can't call their names right now. And then they have some active linebackers. So, you know, we're going to have to be physical first and foremost and execute.
All right. Thanks so much, Coach, and good luck this week.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Kendrick Marshall.
Yeah, Coach. Kendrick Marshall, HBCU Sports. This past weekend was sort of a celebration of HBCUs with Good Morning America being at Florida A&M and College Game Day being at Jackson State. Did you take in any of that content, and what do you make of this notoriety that HBCUs are getting from the national landscape?
It's outstanding. And, FAM, it's really good to see them bring Tiffany Dawn Sykes down there as their new AD. I think that was a great move on their part. She's going to do some big things down there. But when you're on a national platform like Good Morning America and College Game Day, you can't pay for that. There's much advertising and get your name and your brand all across the country. And, we had the opportunity to be on Game Day and Good Morning America last year. And it did so much for North Carolina Central University and our brand. So whenever you can get that type of exposure, it just helps not just your campus, but, all of HBCU community.
All right, thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kendrick.
All right, and our final question comes from Charles Bishop.
Good morning, Coach Oliver. Charles
Good morning,
Bishop,
Charles.
Dr. Cavill is inside the HBCU Sports Lab. And I wanted to ask this question in regards to where we are within the season. We're roughly 8 games into the season now, conference play. But schematically, is your identity at this point in the season, or is there enough leeway within scouting teams that there's enough leeway where you have wrinkles in what you see from week to week?
If you change up stuff now, you hustling backwards, I think. Now, you might have a wrinkle or two, but I think who you are is who you are. You spend all off season, you spend all, summer camp and all, leading up to this. And for us to make huge changes now in 2 or 3 days worth of practice, I think would be absolutely crazy. You obviously do have some wrinkles and you might run some plays out of different formations or show this pressure that we had run last week and then bring a pressure from, the other side. You might change some looks, but for the most part, you are who you are. I can't wait till I'm 46 years old, 47, change my personality. I am who I am. Coach Scott is who he is. So you are who you are at this point of year, I would believe. Well, at least the successful teams.
Sure thing. Appreciate that, Coach.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Coach Oliver, thank you for your time this morning. Good luck this week. We'll see you next Monday.
Thanks, Karen. Another shout out to James Hill and his cable provider.
Shout out to them. Oh, thank you, Coach. The Eagles return to O'Kelly-Riddick Stadium to host Howard for homecoming at 2 p.m. on Saturday. The game can be seen live on ESPN3 and will re-air Sunday morning at 8 a.m. on ESPNU. Up next, we have Delaware State head coach Rod Milstead. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing well, Karen. How are you?
Doing well. All right, Coach. Tell us a little bit about Saturday's game against North Carolina Central.
Well, it's never fun when you lose homecoming, especially in HBCU, of course. But game came down to the wire. Good, hard-fought football game. Ebbs and flows the entire game, and still had a chance at the end to tie it up, drop ball in the end zone, and game's over. So take my hat off to Coach Oliver and his group and the way they prepared for us. And, it was a good game. Unfortunately, we didn't score enough points.
All right, and Coach, you all head down to Orangeburg this week. What can we expect from the Hornets?
Well, it doesn't get any easier, that's for sure. South Carolina State, they had a rough weekend, just like we did. So, of course, they're going to be ready and eager for us to play. And every time we played them, the last 3 to 4 times, it's been really, really a tight football game overtime. And then we're expecting the same type of game. And, we got to win one. We've lost 2 so far in the MEAC, and we're not proud of it. So we got to find a way to win this football game this weekend.
All right, Coach. Well, good luck this week, and we will now turn it over to the media, beginning with Dr. Cavill.
Okay.
This is Kenyatta with Dr. Ville's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Talk about, as you said, getting into it, tough losses, homecoming are really challenging, difficult. But as you got into the film, were there some things that you saw that you felt your team did well? In what particular areas were there?
Oh, absolutely. I'm disappointed in the outcome. But like I told my players yesterday, I'm not disappointed in them. I think they left everything on the field. The first thing that I can point out is our kicking game. I'm disappointed in our kicking game. There's no reason for us to miss extra points. And extra points, people, oh, that's just 1 point, but those points count up, especially when you're having success, and then you get a score, and the next thing you know, you look up, we got a chance to tie the ball game. Now you're still down 1 point. Okay, being behind, whether it's 1 point or 15 points, you're still behind. So that's something we're going to address this week, and I mean address in a major way because that's unacceptable. Our tackling, we got to get better on tackling. I heard Coach Scott mention that earlier, but we got to get better on tackling. That last touchdown, I think 4 guys missed him on the sideline and enabled the receiver to get into the end zone, which put them ahead 28-21. And then you got to get more, still got to get more consistent on offense. That's the one thing. I think we ran the ball fairly well, but our consistency in keeping the chains moving is something that I want to focus on the remaining games of the season. Is being able to convert on third down and get 5 to 6 on first down.
You talk about running the ball pretty well, but I was pleasantly surprised in terms of what you were able to do with your wide receivers, putting you up 255 yards, but how the ball was spread around to various people. Talk about the intentionality of taking advantage of what is there during a game and getting it done, at least in terms of getting some yards up and down the field this past weekend.
Well, we got a redshirt freshman quarterback that if anyone had told him and me too that he would be our starter for the majority of the season, I probably would have told him you're on some type of narcotic. But CJ Henry has maturity of this game. This game is much faster than at the high school level, but he has shown a very dynamic. He's small in stature. He's smart enough to make sure that he catches the ball and gives everybody opportunities to be successful. So I was proud of him and the way he played. Probably one of his, if not his best game, one of the games that he's played since he's been our starting quarterback. But the young guys, we're still young. You know, I wish we were older, but a lot of the guys you saw making plays are actually freshmen or redshirt freshmen, and that's on our offensive line as well. So we're still work in progress, but I'm excited in the direction that we're going. Not the outcome that we wanted, but this ship is still pointing in the right direction.
You talk about being excited in terms of the way your guys are playing, pushing forward. And now you turn to get on the road against South Carolina State Bulldogs, obviously as a physical team like yourself. Talk about the nature of the and how challenging it makes and physicality and get your guys to play up to it week to week.
Well, the MEAC is a special animal. And I'm quite sure not only myself, but every other coach, MEAC coach, you know the season is broken up into 2 seasons, really. You have your pre-season, your MEAC, okay? And the MEAC is a different animal. You try to make sure that in your preseason that you come out unscathed, meaning that you don't lose any of your key players to injury and those type of things, because you know that second half, you want to have all your weapons when you go into war. And unfortunately, you know, and I'm not making excuses, we don't have them. It is what it is. You know, when you lose your quarterback, it's a big deal. You know, he runs the offense, somebody who's been there all spring and all summer. So getting another quarterback up to speed. I heard Trey talk about it, that if you're making wholesale changes right now, then you're working backwards. You're 1,000% correct. So now we're doing some things that fit CJ's persona and the way that he plays. So our play calling hasn't changed. It's just been adjusted to fit his skill set to help us move the ball down the field. But the MEAC is a different animal.
Appreciate you sharing that, Coach.
Each week is, I tell everybody, each week is a championship football game. There are no weak teams in the MEAC, and you've seen it. I mean, every week you got to bring your A game, and if you don't bring your A game, then it's a good possibility that you're going to be disappointed, you know, on Sunday morning.
Absolutely. Keep up the good work. Keep pushing forward. Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate you.
James Hill.
Hey, Coach, good morning. I hope you and everybody in Dover are well. Can you talk a little bit about November football in the MEAC, and again, how important it is, and there's only so many opportunities, and these Saturdays are very crucial.
Absolutely. We know, and I shared this with my team last night, numbers don't lie, people do. Okay, and the numbers, if you look at it, the percentages, we know that the goal that we had set for us is really unattainable right now. Okay, with 2 losses in conference, and we know this. But just like you go through life, you're going to have ebbs and flows, and as you position yourself through life, sometimes you got to change up your goals. Okay, and until you can get to a place where you can finish or get to the destination of where you want to be, and that's where we are right now. Our goals have changed a little bit. The destination is always going to be the destination, but it may not be the destination. We may not get there this year. Okay, so we have to look ahead and focus in on South Carolina State and find a way to beat those guys, because we haven't done it in the last 3 chances that we've had, and it's been disappointing because all the games have been close, and some in overtime and decided by a kick or something like that. So we know it's going to be a tough one. Coach Pugh going to have those guys ready to play, and they play well at home.
Coach, you just alluded to it, but talk a little bit about the intensity needed to go in to Orangeburg. This is a clash of titans. It makes for a really great game.
Well, their defense is really stout. They have been, and our defense is playing very, very, very well right now. Matter of fact, they're the heart and pretty much soul of our football program is our defense. Our offense is slowly trying to catch up to them. But South Carolina State, it's always, since I played against them, and Robert Porcher and I had some good battles, some one-on-one battles together, and we both got an opportunity to play at the next level and continue that battle in the NFL. But it's going to be a hard-fought battle. It's hard to win there with their crowd and their whole persona of being the reigning national HBCU national champions. They have a championship pedigree and have really dominated over the years in the MEAC. So we know we have in store for us. But these my guys are very eager to get off of this side of the tracks and get back on the right side of the track. So it's going to be a fun game for us, and we're excited.
Coach, it's like Ali and Frazier. When you look across the field and you see a champion, and you just alluded to it, just talk about how important this game is, and both teams want to win this game.
Absolutely. I guess our thing right now is that we need to find a win. We haven't had one in a couple of weeks, so that's our main focus is by any means necessary to get a win. Everyone in the MEAC is still using South Carolina State as the measuring tool. Okay, you have to until they are completely eliminated. Then you have to use their program and the things that they do and how they play, still as the measuring stick, and that's what we're going to use this weekend. We want to go out and we want to match or be more intense than they are in every aspect of the football game. It's been a dogfight, and I take my hat off to Coach Pugh, and I admire what he does and how long he's done it. But to continue to build a good football program year in and year out, to where if you want to win a championship, it has to go through South Carolina State. That's where we are working to get. When I was here as a player, we used to always say, in order to win the MEAC championship, you got to go through Dover. Now that ship has sailed and it's down in South Carolina State, and we want that ship to come back up north.
Thank you, sir. Have a great week and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
HBCU Sports.
Good morning, Coach. Dwayne Nash from the HBCU Sports. Good to see you again.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I've had better Mondays, but we're going to take it and move forward.
Yeah, I know Karen is going to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe that you guys are still mathematically able to be at least co-champions this year. You kind of touched on it a little bit. You said that your goals have changed. Can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit more?
Well, it's like when you go through life, And I'm not sure if you played a college football or high school football. You know, when you start playing, you say to yourself, man, I want to be Jerry Rice. I want to go in the NFL. Okay, well, most college football players don't get that opportunity. So where your goal was, I want to make it to the NFL, you got to fall back on your college degree. And when I said mathematically, you know, I look at the fact of what we can control. Okay, I can't look at what other people have to do to allow that to happen. So when you hear me say mathematically and schematically that it's not in our control. 2 weeks ago, we were in the driver's seat. Last week, we were still in the car, but we were in the passenger seat. Okay, now we're hanging on to the bumper. Okay, so that's how I gave it to my guys yesterday. We don't control our own destiny. Okay, we control the opportunity to go out and win a football game against South Carolina State, and then win right after that. And then whatever happens is going to happen. But we don't have the keys to the car anymore. Those keys have been given to someone else. We are on the sideline or on the bumper, just waiting and seeing what's about to happen and just making sure we do our part.
All right, but no, Coach, I have not played collegiate football, but I do have the eligibility left. I don't know if you want a 47-year-old man playing on your D-line right now. But thanks so much for your time, Coach, and good luck this week.
Appreciate you.
All right.
All right, our last question comes from Kendrick Marshall.
Yeah, Coach. Kendrick Marshall, HBCU Sports. This weekend, as I mentioned to Coach Oliver, was a celebration of kind of Black colleges with Jackson State and Florida A&M getting a lot of national attention from the mainstream press. What do you make of that, and how beneficial could it be for HBCUs to continue to be in that spotlight?
Well, you know, I for all of us, because was already at a high level before he came to the HBCU scene. See, a lot of us coaches like the conference is different than Deion Sanders' love for the conference. You know, Deion, and I'm not saying anything negative about him, but his platform brought a lot of attention over to HBCU. HBCU has been here even before Rob Milstead got here. It was here, okay? And for years, when there was things were kind of separate, it was the main thing in the Black household was to go to an HBCU school. Now, because of Deion, HBCUs have been getting more streamlined and in the mainstream, putting on all these other platforms, and other people have been attaching their wagon to him and his platform to be a part, because now they see that all the cameras have turned around and they're on him. Okay, if you go away and you put him at someplace else and it's not an HBCU, watch the cameras turn again. Okay, and I know I'm gonna get quoted on this, and I really don't care. Okay, watch the cameras turn again, because he has a platform. He has something that people want to see. He has something that's a showmanship. He's always been that way, even when he and I were teammates. You know, I got a chance to have a locker right next to him and kind of try to understand his persona. And to be honest with you, he's a phenomenal human being. If you got a chance to talk with him, he's definitely about helping and mentoring young Black men to have an opportunity to get in the league. I know some people question his motives. I don't, because I spent a year with him and I got a chance to know him as a person, besides what everyone else sees on TV. He's a guy who's true to what he's trying to do in terms of making better opportunity for men of color. And right now, this platform is, you know, helping the HBCU. So wherever he goes next, or if he goes someplace next, I'm quite sure that'll be his platform would change, but also keeping in mind that, you know, there's a lot of people at the HBCUs that have attached their wagon to him, and hopefully he'll continue to pull us along as well.
Thanks for that very candid answer, Coach. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem.
All right, Coach Milstead, thank you so much for your time this morning. Good luck this week, and we'll see you next Monday.
Thank you.
Take care. The Hornets hit the road to take on South Carolina State at 1:30 p.m. this Saturday. The game will be live on ESPN3 and will re-air on Sunday at 10 p.m. on ESPNU. And Dwayne, we have not jumped down that rabbit hole yet of scenarios, so we'll let some more football play out before we invest time in doing that. But up next, we have Norfolk State head coach Dawson Odoms. Good morning, coach. How are you?
Good morning, Karen. How you doing?
Doing well. All right, coach, give us a recap about Saturday's game against Howard.
Well, it started out a competitive ball game, but Coach Scott and his staff have a good football team. And we saw that coming in looking at the film with the offensive production. They've been scoring some points, and they can score some points. And they're an experienced football team. I think when we looked at the roster, they had a lot of guys coming back from the previous year. So they did an outstanding job. They can run the football. They big, they physical, and they got out of us. And we had some chances. We made a long run to get back in the game. Then they answered the bell with a long run of their own. And next thing you know, the game get away from you. Run defense, we struggled a little bit running the ball offensively and stopping the run. I think that's where it starts. But the weight room, we got to figure out getting in that weight room, and that weight room got to be our friend. And we got to love it, because you can see that in this conference, it's always been like that. It's a physical style of play. And the way you assert yourself is by running the football. And that's been a calling card of anybody that has a chance to win the MEAC. You can do all that pretty stuff you want to, but at the end of the day, you got to run the ball and you got to stop the run. And if you can't do that, then it's going to be a long season for you.
Definitely true, coach. What can we expect from the Spartans this Saturday at A&T?
Well, it don't get no easier. We got to go on the road. Good football team. They're playing well. I think they're winners about 4 or 5 in a row now. And they're another football team that's going to challenge you physically. And that's just their calling card. And Coach Washington has done a great job since he's took over that program. And he'll have them ready to play. And it'll be an environment for our players. We haven't been there in a few years, but it'll be a good football environment. It'll be a great platform for us to see if we can figure some things out and get a little bit better and get a chance to taste winning. I think that's what every Saturday is about. But you got to play consistent football for 60 minutes. You can't play in spurts. And we've been playing in spurts throughout the season. And we just can't somehow figure out how to get it all together and be on the same page.
All right, coach, thank you for those answers. Those are my questions. We'll now turn to the media, beginning with James Hill.
Hey, coach, good morning. I hope you and all the gentlemen on campus and the ladies are well. Can you talk a little bit about building your program and continuing to carry wood and chop water, and guys are getting an education, and the wins and the victories sooner or later they will come because they're part of the deal.
Well, we're gonna keep chopping wood, carrying water there, Mr. Hill. We understand it's a process. And like I tell people all the time, you're going through this storm and it's a bad taste in the mouth. And you taking it. You're taking it, and we're being professional in our display, and our young men are being disciplined. And like I told them, the only way is to keep working and just trust the process. But the weight room, supplements, nutrition, it's going to take, all those things being a part of the rebuild process. When you take and sign young guys, you take guys out of high school, you have to develop those guys. And the weight room is a part of that development. Nutrition developments are part of that. And to get these guys bigger and stronger and faster, and they're going to grow up. They're not going to be 17 and 18-year-old the whole time they're in college. They're going to eventually grow up a little bit, get a little bit bigger, get a little bit stronger. But we're playing a lot of guys and getting experience. There's no substitute for experience in this game. And we held some guys the whole season until we get to the last 4 games and give them a chance to play. So next year's team, we'll have a lot of experience. We'll have guys that have played a lot of snaps, have guys that have played that were young. And that's what right now, putting the 3 phases together has been a struggle for us. I think the game shifted when we had a 12-yard punt. We was ahead, we was backed up, and then our freshman punter, somehow we end up with a 12-yard punt. They get the ball on the plus 21, and it's hard to play defense from the plus 21. But that started the momentum for Howard, and from that point on, it was hard to get off the field. 3rd down was another big one. So I think we got to look at some things. We're figuring it out. Guys are playing. They're playing hard. They're competitive. That's what I'm most proud about.
Coach, we flip the script. We get into November football. Can you just talk a little bit about November football and the MEAC and continuing to grind, if you will?
Well, I think we go play, 4, really 5 opponents that were, really good on the line, like really big football teams. We played Dale, and then you play Howard, who's athletic up front. They're older up front. They're experienced up front. And, they have a very good football team, and Coach Scott's done a great job of building his program. So when you look at it, you say, where's the separation? I really think it's from those teams that during COVID hit the weight room and played a couple games, because they have a leg up. It was some schools in the MEAC that didn't do anything during COVID. And you can see that their players are not developed or where they should be from a weight room standpoint. Even if you didn't play, if you lifted 4 days a week during COVID, your football team got bigger and stronger. And you can't take those days away. Then you got to look at 5th year and 6th year seniors. We had that a year ago. Now, some teams are getting to that point now and next year. And then those guys are bigger and stronger. So I think you're seeing in the programs in the MEAC that some schools took fully advantage of the COVID situation as it related to developing their players. So it's tough. And you close that out with A&T, North Carolina Central, and South Carolina State. I just hope we have enough players healthy enough to finish the season.
Coach, the Aggies, Aggie Pride, North Carolina, A&T, Coach Sam Washington, defending Celebration Bowl champions in the past, not last year, but just talk a little bit about that former MEAC HBCU powerhouse, and when you line up against the Aggies on Saturday, what you envision.
Well, first of all, I'd like to send my condolences to Coach Washington. I know he buried his mom, and I played for him. So I played defense for him and for him and his family. He's an outstanding young man. And, I was fortunate to have those kind of mentors in my life when I played. And he's done an outstanding job taking over that A&T program. And he's going to continue to do a good job as long as he's the head coach, because he's one of the better defensive-minded coaches that I ever been around. And they haven't changed. They are who they are. They not go reinvent the wheel. One thing about playing A&T, you got to match their intensity. They believe that they are the bullies, and that's what they instill in those guys down there in Aggie country. I had an opportunity to work there, and they haven't changed. He has a good staff. He has a good football team. They're going to play hard. They're going to be well coached, and you have to put your mouthpiece in your mouth and say, you know what, we ready for the fight. And that's the only way you gonna be able to take on them or take them down.
Coach, last question. The MEAC, every game is crucial with a handful of teams, but just talk a little bit about how important it is to get those wins and stack those wins up, because there's a trophy on the line and a title.
Well, we're trying to go 1-0. We're trying to just figure out how to get a win. Just figure out to win. And the MEAC play at the end of the season is tough. But I do think the beginning of the season and how you structure your schedule in the beginning sets up for some success late in the season, because you got to go in the MEAC play healthy. If you're not a healthy football team, if you're a beat up football team, you're going to continue to get beat up as you get into MEAC play, because every game is going to be competitive. And it's a lot of parity in the league, and it's a physical brand of football. I don't think people give us enough credit for how physical the brand of football is in the MEAC. It ain't sexy. Some teams run RPO, but at the end of the day, the O lines and the D lines are where MEAC play is going to be decided. And you got to bite down on your mouthpiece, and you got to be willing to stick your face in there and mix it up. And whichever teams down the stretch is going to do that the better, is going to have the opportunities to represent this conference as champions. And we understand that, and we're going to have to build our football team for the brand of football that it takes to win the MEAC. And that's in the trenches. You got to have some guys that are buddy your nose in the trenches, and that's what it's all about.
Thank you, Coach. Have a blessed week and safe travels A&T game.
Thank you.
Dr. Cavill?
Yes, this is Kenyatta with Dr. Cavill's, excuse me, inside the HBC Sports Lab. Wanted to talk about the A&T matchup, particularly the rushing attack of Tootin. He had 256 yards on 2 touchdowns, almost over 8 yards a carry on 30 carries. What do you see in terms of what he's been able to do in the film that you've seen from him getting ready for this matchup?
Hard-nosed runner, downhill, run the ball with a purpose, see his hole and hit his hole. I mean, it's not fancy, it's not pretty, and it's just hard-nosed running. And that's typical what you expect from an A&T football program, is that they're gonna have a big offensive line. They're gonna get out there in the running game. And if you stack the box, they got guys on the outside that can win their one-on-one. But he's as advertised. He can run it, he can go the distance, he has great power and speed and vision. And you got to get to him before he get to you. If you wait back on your heels and don't get downhill to fit the run, he's gonna be by you and the man gonna be playing. And you got to fit your gaps. You got to be dominant in the run game because he's as advertised. He's as good of a running back we've seen all year.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend. Look forward to the matchup.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for your time today, Coach Odoms. Good luck and see you next week.
Always a pleasure. Behold, the green and gold.
The Spartans step out of conference play on Saturday to take on North Carolina A&T. Kickoff is set for 12 p.m. and the game can be seen live on ESPN+. All right, Coach Pugh will not be with us today due to a scheduling conflict, but in his place, we will have a South Carolina State assistant head coach, David Blanchard. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning, Karen. How are you?
Doing good. Good to see you.
Yeah.
All right, Coach, start us off with an opening statement about last week's game at Morgan State.
Oh, it was a tough weekend. Offensively, we had 6 turnovers. We struggled to run the ball. And on defense, we struggled to stop the run, and we had a lot of trouble tackling. So it boiled down to they were a lot tougher than we were at that time.
All right. Coming up, you all played Delaware State. What can we expect from the Bulldogs this weekend?
Oh, this will definitely be a physical game. Coach Milstead does a great job with his team. And as you can see on both sides of their line, they're just very, very physical, and they can really get after you on both sides. The offensive line is probably the most athletic line that we've seen on tape this year. And the defensive line, they play with heavy hands, quick feet, and they're very active.
All right, Coach, those are my questions. We'll now turn to the media for their questions, beginning with James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and all the gentlemen there at South Carolina State University are well. Can you talk a little bit about what this Saturday brings and how important this game is for the Bulldogs Nation?
Well, this game is very important to us. We're still in this deal. We control our own destiny. What we need to do is actually go out there and actually perform in 3 phases of the game. Like I said earlier, we got to do a better job, a great job of running the football. And on the defensive side, we got to stop the run. And that's going to really be what boils down to it.
November football in the MEAC. Talk a little bit about that and how important that is. And then some of the guys you have in your locker room who want to compete and play at a high level.
Well, if you look at it always in November, if you're playing well in November, you have a great chance of postseason play. And here in our locker room, our guys are very focused, very locked in. We got a senior quarterback that's leading us really well, does a great job of keeping the team together. On defense, we got a linebacker, B.J. Davis, that's actually becoming a great leader. So those guys are focused, and we got the right people in place to talk to them and keep them going.
Thank you, sir. Have a blessed week, and good luck this Saturday.
All right, thank you.
Hi, Miller.
Hey, Coach Blanchard. Good morning to you. How are you?
Morning. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. Is it safe to say that Murphy's Law, meaning that anything that can go wrong will go wrong was a part of that game against Morgan State Saturday.
I guess you're exactly right. It was a little tough atmosphere out there, and it just, we have a little drive going, and all of a sudden we fumble. We threw some picks on the defensive side of the ball. We got the guy, the quarterback, in grasp, and he escaped from us. So it was a pretty rough week.
And getting down 17-0, Coach, and fighting back to 17-14. How much did that block kick in the third quarter hurt your team?
Oh, that block kick, we thought we had something going there. And, that block kick hurt us a whole lot. Our kids, was focused and like you hear Coach Odom, Coach Oliver, and those guys, one little mess up, one little mistake will screw you over. And the kid, just took a lazy step and the guy got through there.
And Coach, I did notice that Jordan Smith, he's a guy that it seems that he needs more touches. So has there been discussions about how to incorporate him more into the offense?
Well, I think a lot of our guys, someone spoke earlier about the young guys getting some playing time with the 4 games. Mm-hmm. And one of those guys that we're definitely talking about, getting him some more touches.
Okay. And Coach, again, if you could, you mentioned it early on when talking to James about how physical Morgan State was. And that did strike me that it was a very physical football game and you had to fight back, but they seemed to wear you down as time went on.
Oh, yes. Anytime offense has the ball, as long as they had it, it's going to be some guys that get tired on that defense side of the ball. And like I said, their running backs were so, they were quick. And I mean, that O-line just kept coming. And, they wouldn't let up, and they came out of there.
But Coach, thanks a lot for the comments and good luck this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Edward Lee.
I was wondering if you could just talk about Alfonso Graham, the running back for Morgan State. Was there anything that you noticed about the way he played on Saturday?
Well, it was like, he had a extra gear. We always thought he was a pretty good player, but Saturday he just seemed faster, stronger, tougher. It was just his day.
Was there anything he did differently than what you'd seen in the scouting film?
No, nothing different. Like I said, he's a great football player, and he really showed us on Saturday.
I don't know if he's maybe the prototypical size for a running back, but do you think that works in his favor, that he's not that big?
Yes, in today's game, they are going to find something for him to do. He's going to catch a lot of balls. He's going to do a lot of stuff, little gadget plays and stuff for him. But I think he's definitely good enough to be there.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Brad Gillens. Brad, are you there?
Yeah, I had to unmute myself. Sorry, Karen. Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. Hey, do you think there's anything to be said about the fact that with North Carolina Central being such a pivotal game in the conference last week, having a huge crowd that you guys had at Oliver C. Dawson Stadium, you might have gone into the Morgan State game maybe a little down, or because you were on such a high for the NCCU game, going into Morgan State and they're essentially being a letdown?
No, I can't say it's a letdown. There's so much parity in this league. Morgan State has a really, really good football team, and they came out ready to play, and they were focused. And I guess you can say some people may assume it was a letdown, but I think they just outplayed us on Saturday.
Okay. Corey played, extremely well last week. This week kind of regressed back to the mean, more, within the 50% range with completion percentage. Had a couple interceptions there that kind of turned the tide in the game, especially in the fourth quarter where Morgan State was able to pull away. What do you need to do to get Corey back to a situation where he can get some completions early, kind of get comfortable within the offense so that he can, move forward?
Just get them some quick passes, throw them some quick outs and stuff like that. And actually, get everybody on the same page. Sometimes everybody like to put stuff on the quarterback all the time. It's not always the quarterback. Sometimes the receivers may run the wrong route or, what have you. O-line needs to protect a little better. So there's a lot of different things that we can do to make sure Corey has a better day. But, it's not always the quarterback all the time.
Gotcha. And then final question. Two of the last three games are in the friendly confines of Albert C. Dawson Stadium in Orangeburg. What do you want to say to the Bulldog Nation and to Bulldog faithful to get them to show up and show out and show their support for the team as you guys vie for a second consecutive MEAC championship?
I heard Coach Oliver say it. We need everybody in the stadium. We got all night to tailgate. So if we can get everybody in the stadium, the Dogs need everybody.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Blanchard, thank you so much for filling in today. Really appreciate that. Good luck this weekend, and we'll see y'all next week.
All right. Thank you, Karen.
Take care. South Carolina State hosts Delaware State in a 1:30 p.m. matchup on Saturday. The game will be seen live on ESPN3 and will re-air Sunday night at 10 p.m. on ESPNU. Definitely last but not least, we have Damon Wilson from Morgan State. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm good, Karen. How are you doing?
Doing well. All right, Coach. Everybody's been talking about it so far, but give us your recap of Saturday's game against South Carolina State.
Well, our guys met the challenge, man. We had the champs coming in our backyard. We have a guy on the other sideline, Coach Buddy Pugh, a guy who I model myself behind, and I had to kind of up my coaching game, and we challenged our guys all week to match the physical style of play that South Carolina State brings to the table, and they did that. We played well in all three phases, and it was a great win for the university.
Awesome, Coach. You step out of conference play as well this week, taking on Stony Brook. What can we expect from that game?
We have to be physical again. I mean, these guys are really big up front. They're going to run the football. They're coming off a tough loss against Albany, but we must be physical up front and have a chance to win and keep this thing rolling.
All right, those are my questions. We'll now turn to the media with the first one coming from Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach Wilson, Ty Miller with the Power News Radio Network and Black College Football Weekly. First question, I want you to describe the range of emotion you had in the first half, leading 17-0 when the quarterback threw a pick six, and that put your team up 20. Well, actually, you were leading, and the pick six put your team up 27-13 with 12 minutes left. So what was the range of emotion you had? Because they had fought back, and then you went back on top again.
I mean, it was a football game, and I told the guys early in the week that, once again, South Carolina State is a team that, when I was at Bowie State, it's a team I always looked at and saw what they were doing. We were trying to do our thing at the Division II level. They were doing their thing at the FCS level, and like I said, I had an opportunity to work with Coach Pugh at the Legacy Bowl last year, and now coach against him. It was great experience to working with him, but even more, exciting. Coaching against them, and I told my team that it was going to be a fight. They're a championship team. We knew they weren't down. We jumped up, I think, 17-0. We knew they were going to fight back, and I told our guys, just continue to deliver body blows. It's going to be a long, heavyweight fight. Just keep delivering body blows, and let's see where we are in the fourth quarter and see if we have a chance to win the ball game. That's what our guys did.
Can you talk about the impact that the crowd had? Because Hughes Stadium seemed to be 100% behind you, even when you wavered a little bit there and the game got close in the third quarter. Just talk about the impact that the stadium crowd had behind you.
So we're teaching not just the football team how to be successful, but we're also teaching the crowd how to when to cheer, when not to cheer, how to be involved in the impact they have on the ball club as well. When I first got hired, I said it's all hands on deck. And that I mean that from the bottom of my heart, from the custodians here on campus to the administrative assistants. Everybody has to be on the same page to get done what we need to get done. And when they scored and brought the game 17-14, I looked back at halftime and I saw some of the folks get a little nervous. Here we go again mindset. That sort of thing. That's something that we have to eliminate. That's something that we have to continue to educate and teach folks how to overcome adversity. And that's something we talk about in our locker room, and once we understand that as a football team, hopefully it'll spill over to the campus and supporters and everybody else. But it was great to see the fans there. It was great to see their reaction and talk to them after the game. I think this was the first time we had an opportunity. We beat South Carolina State in a number of years. And, once again, I didn't know that, but it's a great situation anytime you're able to beat the national champs.
And finally, Coach, this is a yes or no question, but I want you to expound on it. There's a saying that goes, winter's coming. And it may not be this season for you, but is it safe to say that the future for the Bears are coming?
Indeed, as long as we continue to go in the right direction, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Edward Lee.
Damon, I was wondering if I could talk to you about Alfonso Graham. What have you noticed about him this season in terms of his play?
I mean, Alfonso is a special talent. It's one thing that he's been doing this since he was 6 years old. And one thing that Coach Fenn, our running backs coach, and Coach Sherman, offensive coordinator, just teaching him the game. He has a lot of natural athletic ability. Now we're getting him to understand defensive fronts and reads and coverages and all that good stuff. And I think that's helping him develop more of his game. He's a guy that can catch out the backfield. He's tough as nails. We all know he's fast, but now he's educating himself and improving his football IQ. And I think that's what we're seeing on Saturday is just kind of not the finished product, but a product that's going in the right direction.
He's not terribly big for a running back, but it doesn't seem like you guys have any issues about him running between the tackles. Is there something that he does well in that style of running?
He doesn't miss a weight room session. He's not a big guy, but Alfonso's going to put his work in the weight room. He hasn't been a guy yet since I've been here over the summer and or during the season that's missed a weight room session. He's going to do everything that he needs to do to make sure his body's ready to play on Saturday. And if that means, and he doesn't like missing practice. He's a guy that's going to practice hard. So all of that, it shows the type of character he has. And I think this kid has a lot more football ahead of him as he continues to develop.
And when he's playing well, how does that maybe expand what you can do on offense?
Well, this helps us a great deal. Because now teams have to load the box and open up some passing lanes for our quarterback. So that's something that we understand. If they're going to try to take away the run, we should be able to throw the football pretty good, and vice versa. If they try to take away the pass, and Alfonso should have a good day running the ball. Just basic head count numbers and basic offensive philosophy or thought process. But we know we have a special guy. We want to get the ball in his hands.
Thank you, Damon.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Cavell.
Coach Wilson, good morning. Congratulations
good morning,
on the win and continue to build your program and move it forward.
Thank you.
I want to ask you a little bit more off the field because you brought it to my attention, and it's always a focus point of mine, talking about educating the fans in terms of how to be engaged in the game and things of that nature. Is that also a conversation you are able to have with the band? In terms of the band, we've seen over the years, HBCU sports, oftentimes that bands are a huge part of the show and the culture, but you also have some times where they may not be as engaged in the game, particularly when they have a visiting band in regards to when do you play versus the battle that they may be having, the intersection. How have you got into that, and how does that work?
That's a great question. Dr. Reed got here shortly after I did. So we have a new band director, and he and I have a great relationship, and I'm quite sure we're going to talk or debrief, if you will, at the end of the season to talk about how we can improve that overall experience. But we need everybody. Like I said, those guys on the football field, we need everybody, and I want everybody to get their shine as well. If we score points and we stop folks, the band gonna have more opportunities to play. The cheerleaders gonna have more opportunities to flip and stunt and jump and all that other good stuff. But we have to do it together in order for us to be successful. And even when things aren't going in our favor, we have to uplift each other. And that's something that comes with timing. That's something that comes with relationship building and understanding the culture of being successful and understanding how to embed that culture into the university. And coaches mentioned earlier, as far as getting folks out the tailgate area. Man, the tailgate is before the game and after the game. Shut the tailgate area down during the game, get to the stadium, support these young men and women on the playing surfaces, so they can see and feel your energy, and it helps them in the game. Everybody wants to be feel appreciated when they put in some work, and everybody needs uplift when they may be down. And I think it's our responsibilities as alums and fans and supporters to make sure we do that for our student athletes.
Great point, and I wholeheartedly agree. I want you to know on my side, I make sure I take heed to what you just said. I'm part of the those that understand the need to do that. With that being said, I do want to ask a follow-up question from this perspective. When did you start to orchestrate and understand the importance of putting this together and decided to move forward about communicating to these different parties all around in the game? Was this at Bowie State, or was that even previous to that when you started working towards this orchestrated art of having everybody involved and engaged in the game?
Doc, you're probably going to laugh at this, but I think a lot of my true coaching, I'm going to say philosophy, but just the off the field stuff came when I took the opportunity down at Texas Southern University. When I was a student at Bowie State University, I didn't understand the importance of alums and giving back. It wasn't until I took the job at Texas Southern where I understood the importance of seeing alums' actions and what you should be doing. And then I got a little deeper dive when I went to Prairie View, and just to see the alums pour in on Wednesday for homecoming and see them come over to the offices and whether it's giving gifts or just hugging and high-fiving the student athletes, whatever it may have been, it changed my whole role as an alum. So therefore, now as a coach and as a head coach, I understand the importance of it. I challenge everybody that I played with coming through the collegiate level and everybody on campus. I walk around campus now and ask students, hey, you come to the game Saturday. Hey, make sure you got your orange or blue on. Hey, do you need a T-shirt? What can we do to make sure you guys are there early? So those are some of the things that I picked up early on in my coaching career, but it really wasn't until I went down south to really see what it's all about to being an alum. It changed my giving and everything else for my university.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend. I look forward to the matchup.
You got it, Doc. Thanks.
James Hill.
Hey, Coach, congratulations on that victory. How you doing, sir?
Doing well, thank you.
Awesome. It's James Hill with the MEAC Countdown to Kickoff. Talk a little bit about Clash of Titans. You've won national championships. Obviously, Coach Pugh has won the MEAC title, several, and the HBCU title in the form of a Celebration Bowl. And you were the Coach of the Year and CIAA. And what I'm getting at is two gentlemen who are outstanding football minds. Just talk a little bit about that and how special that was for the fans on Saturday.
It was big time for me. I'm a fan of Coach Pugh. I'm a fan, and I'm a guy, like I said, that want to model my career behind him. He's had a lot of success, and it's one thing to have a good year or good 2 years, but you're talking about a guy that's been successful over decades. That's special. It's hard to do, and definitely in today's football era, with all the different things that's going on. He's not a guy that's going to go and grab every transfer out of the transfer portal. He's developing young men on and off the football field. He's developing folks that's going to be positive alums at South Carolina State. And that's something, like I said, I pride myself on. Not against the transfer world at all. I understand you have to have a few of those guys, but I want guys that's going to be in my program 4 to 5 years and that's going to love the university that they play for. And that's what Coach Pugh has done down South Carolina State. And it's a guy that it was an honor to coach against him on Saturday. And I told him before the game, and I told him once again after the game, that just thanks for sharing the sidelines with us, and thanks for leading the way. So he's a guy, like I said, I respect tremendously.
Coach, signature victories. You've had several, and you have trophies and Coach of the Year, Coy, to basically confirm that. But just talk a little bit about Saturday. It was a beautiful day for Morgan and the Bears Nation.
It was great for the guys. You're looking at a program, like I said, that we haven't had a lot of success in the recent years, and like I said, haven't beaten South Carolina State a number of times, and you're talking about beating once again the national champions. That was pretty much the same team that played in the bowl game last year, and they've been where we're trying to go. So for those guys to understand that, hey, the coaches that they have, we know a little bit of football. We know some of the things that we need to do to be successful, and watch those guys buy in and receive the ultimate reward at the end of the game. It's special for me just to see that. Like I said, for me, like I said, I received a couple awards and that sort of thing. That's great. But I really get my joy off seeing my young men have success on and off the football field.
Coach Wilson, we flipped the script. Now we get to November ball. Talk about what that's like, how special it is. You'll go into New York, there's Stony Brook, and then you'll get back into the MEAC and seal the deal, so to speak. But just talk about November football.
November football is what it's about. You know, you got all the preseason rankings and early on, but you want to be talking about have people talking about your program in November and December. And if you're talking about your program in November, December, that means you're in some type of championship hunt or you're in the playoffs or that sort of thing. It's something I've been fortunate, accustomed to doing over the last few years, and it's something that I'm excited about. You don't win championships in the summertime. You win them when it's cold outside. So you got to be around. Getting up early in the morning and getting after it in the weight room, but also understanding the physical nature that comes with this football game. That you're gonna have to be playing well in November and December, and everybody's banged up. Everybody's banged up. Some guys are looking for a way out. Some guys are looking to find a way to get certain things done, and that's what we challenge our team to make sure that we're looking for a way how to get something done versus why something didn't happen.
Thank you, sir. Have a blessed week and continued success.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, Coach Wilson, thank you so much for your time. Good luck this week, and we'll see you next Monday.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Karen.
Take care. The Bears also take a break from league play this week to take on Stony Brook. The game can be seen on Flow Football. This time, we'd like to conclude our weekly press conference, but before we do, as always, I'd like to thank the media members who showed up, the ones who will watch this later on the MEAC Digital Network on YouTube, and everyone for their assistance with today's call. As always, we'd like to thank our corporate partners. And just a quick reminder, our next call is next Monday, November 7th, beginning at 10 a.m. For up-to-date news on MEAC football and other sponsored sports, log on to meacsports.com and follow us on our various social media platforms. And again, follow us on the MEAC Digital Network on YouTube. Once again, everybody, thank you for being here and have a great football week.